Can you feel this passion? It's amazing. Hail, hail, hail to the Redskins. Crowds roar, horns blow, see the fire blazing. Hail, hail, hail to...
What is going on, Redskins fans? This is JD coming to the video from Redskins Rant. Hail to the Redskins. This is my reaction video to the Bears. Oh boy, I mean, I have a lot of emotions that ran through me on that game. So let's go with the first, the obvious reaction. Case Keenum had a bad game. It's not the end of the world. Quarterbacks have bad games. Could have been 6 turnovers, could have been 7, if it wasn't for like a penalty that erased 1 fumble and some guys catch balls. Could have been more interceptions. But 5 turnovers, 3 interceptions, 2 fumbles, I mean, I'm not going to hit the panic button on Case Keenum, okay? He's had 1 bad game. All in all, though, he still managed to mount a reasonable comeback. He found guys open. He still manages to run the offense pretty well. The only problem I have with him really is stiff in the pocket. And a couple times now this year, the ball slipped out of his hands just by him like flinging it back. So maybe his hands are too small or something. But I'm not holding it too bad that he obviously had a bad game. But with 5 turnovers like that, we only lose by 16 points. So, I mean, not the worst thing in the world. It is not great, don't get me wrong. I'm not going to sit here and praise Keenum. He did do some things well in the second half, I'll give him that. But he's one of the reasons why we lost this game. He's not the reason why we're 3-0 though. He's not, or 0-3. He's not the reason we're 0-3. He's not the reason we have a losing record. He's the reason why we lost the game last night. There's a lot of things he could have done differently. And honestly, still the biggest issue with me is still the defense. And I have issues with a lot of different things right now. Offensive line last night, I mean, I'll just stick with the offense right now. Case Keenum did not play well. Adrian Peterson, honestly, I don't know why Jay Gruden got away from the formula that worked last year. Pound the rock, pound the ball. We'll run like 1 play running the ball, get like 9 yards, and then not run the ball again until it's a horrible situation to do it, like the last series of the game. I can put this on repeat. Sorry, that's my cat. My cat is in the other room because she can't behave, so I put her in the other room right now. So I'm going to actually pause this real quick. Okay, sorry about that. I had to let my cat out. She was basically just going to tear up the door. So back to the... Okay, so Case Keenum did not play well. He had some moments. He did some things later in the game. If he just took care of the ball. The first interception, I'm not going to sit here and say 100% his fault. And here's the reason why. If the pass before that's caught, that play never happens. If Jeremy Sprinkle would have caught an open slant down the middle for like 15 yards, we're not even looking at that play. It's 1st and 10 and we're running the ball. So the first interception went for pick 6. Take that off the board. I mean, we're looking at a game where we're literally losing by a touchdown. So that's the first thing. First interception. Second interception. He just underthrew a guy and the defender made a good play. I mean, I don't think he underthrew the guy. I think he threw the guy correctly. I just think he didn't throw it hard enough. He didn't throw it fast enough. So that was the second interception. The third one, he thought he had someone in stride, and the defense just played it well. Bears defense is actually very good. He did some things against them pretty well. He attacked them pretty well. He got Terry McLaurin involved pretty well. He got Richardson involved pretty well. He also got Trey Quinn involved pretty well. But the problem, it's just, he turned it over at the worst times. That's probably the biggest issue. Like, he turned over on R30 and pick 6. He turned it over. He fumbled whenever it was 4th and 1. First off, I'm going to go over that 4th and 1 series. What the hell was Jay Gruden thinking? You get first off, you throw a pass. I think it was a pass. On first down, you get 9 yards. Or 8 yards, or whatever it was. You run the next 3 plays. What the hell? Passing the ball has been working as his defense. And that's the time you choose to run the ball. 3 straight plays. It doesn't make any goddamn sense. And not to mention, Eric Flowers got hurt on the first down play. I think the first down play was a run, so I want to correct that. I think the first down play was a run. So the first down play, or it might have been a second down play, whatever it was. Eric Flowers gets hurt, so you bring in a backup. The backup comes in, and you run the next play behind the backup. Doesn't make any fucking sense to me. I'm sorry, pardon my language, but that was irate to me. I'm like, why did you run I literally said that the second it happened. I'm like, why the hell would you run directly behind Tony Bergstrom? Like, seriously, if you're going to run behind him, switch Bergstrom and Donald Penn and run behind Donald Penn or something. But Bergstrom is a backup for a reason. I mean, Eric Flowers has actually been fantastic for us. He was not the issue yesterday. The issue was Morgan Moses couldn't block anyone. Donald Penn got beat once or twice on a sack or two. And Brandon Sheriff got faked out like he was in the WNBA or something. Like, seriously, those are the issues. Eric Flowers in our center has not been the issue right now. That's the strongest part of our offensive line at this moment. Moses, Sheriff got beat yesterday. Donald Penn got beat on a quick step. And that's the 3 sacks. We had 4 sacks. It was 4 sacks yesterday, but that was all the sacks we had that were against us. And in Case Keenum was under duress most of the game. I'm not going to sit here and say that's why Case Keenum turned the ball over a lot. He tried to force some things and it didn't work. But at the end of the day, he didn't give up. He didn't quit. He's played good the first 2 games, and after he made all of his mistakes, he still went out there, slung the ball. He wasn't afraid to take chances. He put us within a situation where we were within the red zone to score and only be down by a touchdown with like 6 minutes left. So he didn't do a lot of bad. He did some bad, but he did a lot of things to make up for them in my mind. Maybe not in your mind, but in my mind. Okay, so I'm not as mad at Case Keenum today. I mean, he had a bad game, and he didn't put his head down and mope about it. I mean, that game could have been 50-0 if a quarterback would have just given up. He didn't give up. He came out the very first drive of the second half, marched the ball down the field, scored. He marched the ball down the field after a turnover, scored, marched the ball down the field. Though he did not score on the very next on the next drive, he fumbled the ball, but he fumbled the ball trying to make a play. Okay. Maybe everyone's going to see it differently, and everyone probably will, because everyone just wants to see Haskins thrown into the Wolves, and we want to ruin another young quarterback. I honestly, at this point, think it's a race thing. Everyone just wants to see the young black quarterback play in DC. It's Chocolate City. That's okay. I'm not trying to get this into a race thing, but come on, let the kid develop. There's a reason why he's sitting. Okay. There's nothing worse than throwing him out to the Wolves right now. Let's say you threw him in last night, and he goes in and throws 3 more interceptions. Now the team's completely torn apart because, one, you sat the quarterback who's been good for 2 games but had one rough half. Okay. 2, the person you can replace him with that was supposed to be your savior went out and threw 3 interceptions. So now you have to go back to the quarterback you replaced after 1 rough half, and now the quarterback, the confidence of the quarterback you just put in is shot. It's a quick way to ruin a team. I'm so glad so many fans don't run this team. It's the decision making. Very glad a lot of fans don't run this team, because if they had their choice, the first time Case Keenum threw an incomplete pass this year, he'd have been benched. So Case Keenum is still not the problem with this team. He was the problem last night. He was not the solution. He was not the biggest problem last night. Regardless of whatever he would have done, there's nothing to sit here and say that the defense wouldn't have still given up 31 points. There's nothing to say that it wouldn't happen. Mitchell Trubisky through the first half and only missed on 3 passes. He's like 20 of 23. Okay, third down conversion was still very high. The Bears didn't have a really good running game. We actually did pretty good at that. That's kind of the impact of Jonathan Allen back. We actually got to Mitch Trubisky a few times. The problem we're having is third downs and deep balls. Josh Norman cannot cover deep ball. I'm going to reiterate what I said. If I was a fucking GM of the Washington Redskins, we would not be having these issues right now, because I'd have traded Josh Norman in the offseason. We got draft picks. We'd have a young guy out there learning. And instead of having Josh Norman, who's lost a step, who's never been a speed guy, covering speed guys, Tyler Gabriel? I think his name's Tyler Gabriel. I'm going to stick with that. Tyler Gabriel is not a big receiver. He's a speed guy. And he burned Josh Norman last night bad. And he got a great catch in the end zone, more power to him. But he is a speed guy. Jimmy Moreland should have been the one on him. He's our best defensive player right now in the secondary. Landon Collins has been okay. Norman has not. If we'd have traded Norman when we had value to a team that needed a corner that was contending, we'd have gotten some draft picks. Maybe not draft picks this year, maybe for next year. Okay? And we can build young guys. You can build a defense around young players as long as you're building the players up. And I'm not even got to the coaching yet. I'm gonna get to coaching here in a minute. Okay? I've already gone over a little bit of it, but I'm gonna stick with the offense. I'm gonna go back to the offense. I'll talk about Josh Norman here in a minute. Offensive line play, although it wasn't the greatest, it also wasn't the worst. There were some things you can take away from that. We actually had points where we had surge on the offensive line. Thompson got going a little bit. If we just try to establish the run more instead of abandon it quickly, I think we'd have better success. Adrian Peterson can still pound the ball, and I noticed it last night. He definitely limits the offense when he's on the field. There's a reason why he's not a starter in the NFL anymore. There's a reason for that. There's a reason why he's a backup. I don't hate Adrian Peterson. He's a Hall of Famer and he's a great player. The problem with Adrian Peterson is, I need to turn it down just a notch. Okay? The problem with Adrian Peterson is is a downhill runner, and that's all he knows how to do. You try to put him in passing plays, you try to run him east and west where he can one cut and go. He just can't do it. It's not his game. And we just couldn't get that going. And I'm going to stand by what I said. I think we need to start Wendell Smallwood. I think we need to stop playing Adrian Peterson, play Wendell Smallwood. Wendell Smallwood can play both. He can play the vertical game and the downhill running game. So that's the defensive line. Receiving core. We had some drops. Tight ends, specifically Jeremy Sprinkle, had a couple drops. Some big ones. He was targeted 9 times, and only caught the ball once. That's an issue. Jordan Reed would fix that. If we had on the JP Holtz, we'd fix that. Another thing I said in preseason, get rid of Jordan Reed. He's not reliable. He probably would have gone somewhere and they'd have had some special helmet or some shot they could have given him that would have prevented him from getting another concussion. I don't know. Maybe the training staffs everywhere else is better. But if we had traded Jordan Reed, we would have had the clairvoyance or the wherewithal, because we don't have Jordan Reed, to hang on to JP Holtz, who is a pretty good receiving tight end. And the problem is now we only have a blocking tight end in Jeremy Sprinkle, an old veteran tight end in Vernon Davis, and we don't really have a third tight end. We might have like Matt Flanagan, who's not a good receiving tight end. JP Holtz was the only good receiving tight end we had outside of Davis and Reed. So we lost him to some other team's practice squad or something because we did not sign him. And this is why you get rid of players when they're old. Okay? Trent Williams would be another good example of someone we could have got rid of this year in preseason before the draft, and we could have drafted an offensive lineman to replace him. We could still have signed Donald Penn. We could be developing young offensive linemen. We could have got someone to replace Morgan, whatever the case may be. There's so many different things we could have done that could have saved all these things. Those are 3 players I said to trade in the preseason. And before the draft even started, I said trade them now because of those reasons. And now we're stuck with Norman, who's showing that he has no trade value. We can't trade him. Okay, he is not valuable to this team, so he won't be valuable in any team. Maybe some team will take him on a cheap contract after we cut him next year, but we're not going to get anything for him other than we're going to gain salary back, I guess. Same with Trent Williams. And I'm going to get to who needs to be fired after this game. I'll get to that here in a minute. Kat, I swear to God, if you come up here, I'm going to be very mad at you. So, receiving core. Actually, don't have anything bad to say about the receiving core. Okay, this is not going to happen, buddy. This is not happening, buddy. Okay? No. All right, receiving core. I have nothing bad to say about the receiving core. The one squad that we thought we were going to have the most issues with. No. This year was going to be the receiving core. Yeah, so our receiving core is the one squad that we are the most concerned about coming in this season, and they're probably our most solid squad. I'm just being honest. That was our most solid squad. Last night, solid. Richardson, Quinn, and Terry McLaurin are fantastic. Quinn and McLaurin are going to be our dynamic duo going forward. No ifs, ands, or buts about that. They're solid. Scary Terry and Trey Quinn are just fantastic. Richardson is also another good one. He plays well as well. I like to see Harmon thrown in there a little bit more, but other than that, our receiving core is dynamite. I have nothing bad to say about our receiving core. The only thing I can say about any kind of receiving at all is our tight ends need to catch the ball when they're thrown to them. That's been an issue we've had the last 2 years with Jordan Reed not being consistently playing. So that's why I said we need to just cut bait with them. But I'm not getting into that. Tight ends, like I said, drop passes. Vernon Davis had a pretty decent game. Tried to hurdle someone again. He did okay. So offensive coordinator. I'm going to go over offensive coordinator, which Jay Gruden's probably bunched into this right now. Our offensive coordinator don't know. I'm going to go back to the strategy I said the Redskins would do very well a couple years ago. The strategy the Redskins would do a couple years ago was quick, decisive passes to get the defense draw it up, and then you burn them deep. When we had Kirk Cousins, and I'm not going to talk about him too much, we had very good success when we're throwing quick 3-yard slants, 5-yard outs, because at the time we didn't have a good running game. Now we have a good running game, so this will actually loosen up the defense a little bit more. They're not going to be so willing to go for that quick dive down to stop a run play because you're going to hit a quick slant and it's going to go for 10, 15 yards. I think we're trying too much to try to burn teams deep and not trying to establish set up plays. I think we're just going deep and seeing what happens. I don't think we're establishing the play action to draw off the safety and things like that and then going deep. I don't think that's happening. I think what's happening is we're just doing it randomly and just hoping it pays off. I don't think there's a setup to it. I also don't think that we're establishing the run game. We run the ball one time, get 6 yards or 4 yards, and we don't do it again. And I think we're running at the wrong times. It's 2nd and 7 or 2nd and 8, and we run the ball 3 fucking times. In the fourth quarter, down by 13 points, 3 effing times. And I don't understand this. Why are we going for 2? Why are we going for 2? If we'd hit that field goal, okay, we just hit that one field goal we missed. So that's an if. I'm just hypothetically speaking here. Hit that one field goal and then 2 extra points. That's 5 more points we'd have on the board right now. We'd have on the board. And here's why that's important, that we do that instead of going for 2. Okay? 15, we had 15 points. You put 5 more points on the board in that situation where we went for 4th and 1, that's 20 points we'd have had. We could have kicked the field goal and it had been 28-23. And we have all the momentum. We've just made a comeback. We came back from 28-0 down. We just scored 25 unanswered points, and our defense can go into the next series with a lot more momentum with the intent, like, hey, if we stop these guys here, our offense is rolling. Okay? Now, let's just say take the field goal out of it. Just take really the extra points. Okay? Now we're only down 11. That field goal still doesn't put us out of the game. Because if we'd have just gone for the extra point on both of those touchdowns we got, instead of going for 2, let me play it out here. I'll show you. Okay? We'd have had 17 points, 17-28. We could have gone for a field goal in that position. And we'd have been up to, it'd have been 20-28. We'd still been down just a touchdown. So I think the Redskins outsmarted themselves way too much here. I get it if you get your 2 extra points, and that's 4 points right there. We'd have been up to 19, but we're still 2 scores away. So it wouldn't have helped us too much. So I don't understand the logic behind that. I don't. Maybe there's a statistical analysis that I'm not aware of. But my logic is take the points when you can get them, man. It was too early in the game to be pulling that crap, or whatever you want to call it. And then if we just gone for the extra, if we got the 2 point, I guess if you get the 2-point conversions, it's 19, and you had that field goal early, that's 22. It's a 1-score game as well. But I'm just saying, go for the 4 short points. It was too early in the game to be going for 2. I just it doesn't make sense. I think those were momentum killers. We did a good job of battling back to get that momentum that we lost when we did those things, but those are just momentum killers. And in the offense, like I said, that's the decision making by the head coach. So that goes on Jay Gruden. I'm gonna get into all the ins and outs of like who gets blamed and who needs fired and shit like that. So this is gonna be a video where it's not gonna be a happy video. Okay, so let's talk about the defense. Defensive line, I didn't think did bad. They got after the quarterback. I didn't think they got ran on too much. I'm gonna just check on the rushing stats for this game. I honestly did not check the rushing stats. Bears rushing yards, they might have broke 100. Yeah, Montgomery got 67. Patterson got 14. Yeah, okay, they didn't break 100. They got maybe 80. They got 80 some yards. So run defense wasn't bad. Run defense was pretty good. Defensive line looks completely different with Jonathan Allen rather than having Tim Settle in there. I love Tim Settle. I think he's a great backup. I think he's a great pickup for us. But Jonathan Allen is a completely different monster. Montez Sweat showed up. He had a good game. Cole Holcomb had a good game. I think Jimmy Moreland had actually a pretty good game. And I think going forward, Jimmy Moreland needs to be the guy guarding the other team's speedsters. For some reason, it just does not make sense to me that Jimmy Moreland or that Norman is playing the other guy's fastest player. Norman should have been on Allen Robinson. That's a big receiver, not a burner. That's who Norman needs to be playing. I'm gonna go over like total tackles right now. Our total tackles. I mean, our top six of our top tacklers right now are Holcomb, Montez Sweat, and Moreland. So I mean, this is a dime draft. We drafted 3 gems. Moreland's leading, or Collins leading us to tackle. Bostic has the 3rd most. Cole Holcomb has 2nd most tackles. A lot of assists. Who leads us in sacks right now? Sweat has 1. Inice has 1. And Norman has a sack? Yeah, Josh Norman has a sack, I guess. Huh, I didn't know that. I'm not getting too much into this. I mean, Kerrigan has a sack, and then Casanova McKenzie has a sack. So, as a team, we have 4 or 5 sacks so far. So, defensive line didn't do too bad. They actually didn't do horrible on their own getting after the quarterback. The problem is we just didn't bring any pressure, and I'm going to get to the defense coordinator here in a minute. Defensive backs are atrocious. Our defensive backfield, I'm not saying they're individually atrocious. They don't play well. Guys do crossing routes, get wide open. Something Gabriel. It's Tyler Gabriel or Terrell Gabriel. Something like it's Tyler Gabriel, I think is what his name is. I'll look. Taylor Gabriel. There we go. He tore us apart. Crossing routes, and he gets a deep one deep. Norman just lets him have it. We're getting what's killing us still is third downs. We're still at over 65%, 63% third down conversions. We've given up in every game. We've given up at least one touchdown pass that's over 30 yards on third down and long too. Of all the times to do it, 3rd and 15. Why not? Just have a 40-yard or 38-yard bomb to Taylor Gabriel. On Eagles, there's 2 of them that they had on third downs too. It's not like it was first down they caught us off guard. We know they're fucking passing. It's not like I'm not getting into it. Starting to piss me off. Linebacking core didn't do horrible. They're just not doing a good job covering running backs. Sorry about that. Had the hiccups. So, Greg Manusky needs fired today. He needs fired right now. He has proven over the first 3 games that he has the inability to make adjustments. He has made an inability to make adjustments week to week, possession to possession, half to half, quarter to quarter, whatever you want to call it. He does not make adjustments. It is very blatantly obvious that his defense is not doing very well at this sit back and not be aggressive and let the offense come to them. It is very blatant that is the issue. And what does Greg Manusky do? He hides behind excuses like, oh, we can't do this because we don't have the personnel. Oh, we can't do this because we had injuries this week, so we have to keep it basic. No, it's your inability to scheme. You have to scheme better. You have to teach scheme better. Okay, if you are not preparing your backups to step in to a starting role to play the game that they are getting paid to play, that's your failure. That's not the failure of the players and not being there. And you have to reset all your stuff. That's your inability to teach it so that everyone understands the scheme and not that like these 11 starters can understand it and these backups can't, but these backups aren't playing. Oh shit. Well, now that who these backups got to start, can't do any of that stuff, just go basic now. That's not how you coach. That's not how you coach a defense. That's not how you coach anything. Any sport, that is not how you coach. And the fact that is your philosophy on it is fucking ridiculous. And the fact that you have a job in the professional football league coaching that way is very alarming right now. It's alarming to the Redskins. It's alarming to the entire Redskin nation. It's alarming to Jay Gruden. And I'm very irate about this. He has proven to not have the ability to make adjustments And everyone's going to argue, if anyone who's like a Greg Manusky enthusiast, are like, well, he made adjustments last night, that's why there was a comeback. No, I think individual players did it. At some point, you have two things. One, you do have to have individual players doing their job. And what I mean by that, they have to show up, they have to defend, they have to not fall down Josh Norman whenever it's 3rd and 5, and you need to get off the field so you get the ball back with 3 minutes left. You do not fall down when you're covering somebody. You do not get beat deep so they don't get a 30-yard, 40-yard touchdown pass 3 times this year so far. Okay? And I don't care about the safety. You still have a responsibility to cover a guy. You can't pawn it off on somebody else. You have a responsibility. It's happening way too much for it to be a coincidence that it's just you. Okay? That's one thing. It's people doing their job. Okay? Second thing is scheme. You have to scheme properly and put players in positions to be successful. And that's what Greg Manusky is not doing right now. Okay? He needs fired today. Okay? Who else needs fired today? Bruce Allen needs fired today. Bruce Allen has let this team, we had to hear about this on a national broadcast last night, about all the issues with Trent Williams. And a lot of these issues could have been solved, and we could be focusing on football if you weren't such an arrogant fucking prick. Bruce Allen, you are an arrogant fucking prick. You need to have your job lost. You need to never work in the NFL again. The Washington Redskins would be better without you. I don't care who your relative is. I don't care if you're related to someone who's a great Redskin. I don't give a fuck. You need gone. You need to be gone kaput. Because if you had any sense of logic in you about football, you'd have got rid of Trent Williams the second he had the opportunity to, not the second he whines and says he doesn't want to be here anymore. Fuck him too. But back to Bruce Allen. Bruce Allen needs to be gone. He needs to be gone, and he needs to be gone quick, fast, in a hurry. You had a chance to trade. You had chances to trade Trent Williams for draft picks. Anytime you can trade a player who's unhappy for draft picks, and it could potentially be a 1st or 2nd round, fucking do it. Get rid of him. Get rid of the guy. I don't fucking care. Get rid of him. I don't care if your pride's on the line. Like, well, I said I wasn't going to trade him, so I'm not going to. I don't fucking care. That alone proves you're not a good GM. That alone proves how arrogant you are. That your pride, you're putting your personal pride ahead of what matters to the team and the future success of this franchise. That alone right there should be the reason you were fired. Is that you're putting your own personal pride on the line so that you don't look bad, or so you don't look like you caved in. Well, sorry, soften up a little bit. This is exactly the same shit that happened with, I'll give you a perfect example of what happened with this. A perfect example, perfect correlation, if you will. Okay? Anyone who watches basketball knows that for the longest time, the Lakers were trying to trade for Anthony Davis. And whoever the Laker GM was, or not the Laker GM, the New Orleans Pelicans GM was for a long time, wouldn't do it. They wanted the house. They wanted all this stuff and yada, yada, yada. But then they hired I can't remember the GM's name. Let me look it up. I don't want to give the wrong name here. I'm on a roll right now with he used to be the GM for the he used to be the GM for the he used to be the GM for the Cleveland Cavaliers. God, I cannot think of his name right now. He's actually a very good GM. I can't think of his name right now. Hold on. I can't think of his name right now. David Griffin. There we go. David Griffin. He was a GM for the Cavs whenever they built their team they won a championship with LeBron. So he's the GM. He came in and said, listen, you can't have your He came in and literally told the owner, listen, you can't have your emotions doing this. If you're going to be emotional about this, you're going to lose out on good players. And right now you have the opportunity to trade your best asset for 5 or 6 assets, which is what ended up happening. And they ended up trading and getting Lonzo Ball and a bunch of other good players in the process. So the Washington Redskins need to have that same sit down. Now, maybe it's Dan Snyder who doesn't want to trade him. I don't know. It's possible. But if Bruce Allen can't walk into the owner's office like, listen, I'm the GM and I'm making this decision without being threatened like you're going to be fired or whatever by the owner, then he shouldn't. Then you know the fish lost some head down. So on it, obviously the biggest issue with our team right now is Dan Snyder. He's like the youngest owner in sports. He's probably the worst in NFL. He's the worst owner in sports by far. Redskins used to be the top 5 NFL franchise. Monetarily, they still are, but they have not been a great franchise in a while. We still are 6th on Super Bowls, and we haven't won a Super Bowl in 20 years. What the hell does that tell you about our past? We haven't won a Super Bowl since 1992, 91-92 season, and it's been almost 20 years since then. 20 years since any kind of, or it's more than 20 years. My bad. How long would that be? It's been almost 30 years since then, and at that time that was our 3rd Super Bowl. We haven't done anything in 30 fucking years, and we're looking at it like we're for some reason we've been relevant for a long time. We haven't, and it was from the head down. The Dan Snyder, he needs to. Let me get back to Bruce Allen. Bruce Allen's arrogance has cost his team this season. He's cost us the possibility of getting draft picks to replenish good players. And like I said, Trent Williams is not a bad player. He just doesn't want to be here. So why fucking around with him? Get rid of his ass. Go to somebody else. Let's get a draft pick. Let's move on. Well, right now, we don't have Trent Williams, and we don't have him. We have the money we own, but we haven't spent that money on anyone to replace him, and we don't have draft picks for the future. So we got nothing for it now. That's the stupidity of his arrogance right now. Okay? He's gone. Decisions that need to be made. You should look at players, his roster, and talk to Jigger and like, hey, which ones can we get rid of? Which ones are you not confident in we can get rid of? And you should have done that and like, listen, okay, I'm going to find someone that can take him, or we're going to cut him. And we're going to move on, and we're going to draft players to replace these guys. That's what should have happened in the offseason. Didn't happen. Did not happen. The only good move he made in the last 2 years is he made a good move to get Alex Smith, which honestly, Alex Smith we were 6-3 with him. And we were 1-9 since he broke his leg. So that wasn't a horrible decision, I guess. But we weren't winning because of Alex Smith. We were winning because Alex Smith didn't do the dumb things. So he's gone. Second person he's gone is Greg Manusky. Greg Manusky has shown the inability to scheme. He's shown the inability to adjust his scheme. He's shown the inability to have different players on the field and give people different looks. We have not brought pressure. We have not brought the house. We have not manned up on people. We have not shown an ability to have a flexible defense. What I recommend is fire Greg Manusky today, and by then today hire either promote Rob Ryan to the defensive coordinator, or bring in his brother Rex Ryan. And if worst case scenario, Rex Ryan, if Jay Gruden resigns or they fire Jay Gruden, Rex Ryan could potentially be our next head coach. I don't like that because I don't like defensive coordinators as coaches, because it's just going to focus on drafting defensive players and our offense will do nothing. And we have a young quarterback that actually has talent that we can focus on making better. That's a possibility. So that's one reason why I don't like Rex Ryan as a head coach, but I do like him as a coordinator. He's a very good coordinator. I like Jay Gruden as a coordinator, and I thought he'd make a good head coach. I may be wrong on that. And this is the first time I'm going to say this on the podcast. I'm contemplating whether Jay Gruden needs to be our head coach anymore. If anyone who's watched this will know that I am a big Jay Gruden advocate. I think he's a good coach. I have a podcast I did with a friend of mine the year we signed him, where I said I want them to sign Jay Gruden. I saw what he did with the Cincinnati offense when Andy Dalton was not a great quarterback, but he moved tight ends around. He created mismatches, and I thought that's creativity. I want that creativity on the Redskins, but he didn't have that with Mike Shanahan. And I thought that would be the possible outcome for the Redskins. And I will say, he still does things like that. He still does create mismatch. He still does create opportunities for guys to get the ball. The problem is, he doesn't do the other things. The team's not in great shape. Our practices aren't hard. He doesn't hold the defensive coordinator accountable. He doesn't go to Greg Manusky and like, hey, why the fuck is this happening? Why the fuck are you giving up third downs all the time? If he is, we're not hearing that, and we're not seeing adjustments to it. So at some point, Greg Manusky's not doing his job, but it's Jay's job to go to him and say, you need to start blitzing. You need to start bringing pressure. You need to start doing this, and this. Okay? Because as an offensive coordinator, I can tell you that I would tear your defense apart. And here's how I would do it. You need to fix these things. That's what a coach needs to do. So this is why I want Greg Manusky fired immediately. Okay? Because let's hypothetically say, let's do a hypothetical real quick. Let's say we fire Greg Manusky today. Hallelujah. Praise the Lord. We fire Bruce Allen. Hallelujah. Praise the Lord. We promote Doug Williams to GM, and Doug Williams signs Rex Ryan. Hallelujah. Praise the Lord. Okay? And then Rex Ryan comes in, and next week our defense shuts out the Giants. And then the following week our defense comes out and plays extremely well against the Patriots. And we win a game or two. Okay? And then we come out against the Dolphins and we blow them out of the water. Okay? What that shows is our defense isn't bad. Our schemer was bad. What that shows is, okay, maybe Jay Gruden is saying this to Greg, but then when the game starts, Greg just does his own fucking thing. That's what it's going to show. Let's say we bring in Rex Ryan and the same shit happens. We're not doing well. Okay? Now it's going to be on the head coach. Because their head coach, you've not developed the players enough to be able to run the scheme, and you're not doing the scheme well enough that the defensive court, we're not executing the scheme well enough, and we're not adjusting to the talent we have. I think Rex Ryan can do that. I think Rex Ryan do great things for the defense with pretty much smoke and mirrors and having like his best players out. I think with our defense, Rex Ryan could definitely do some things. That's what I personally think. That's what I want. I wanted Rex Ryan signed as defensive coordinator, and I wanted Jay Gruden signed as the head coach whenever the job came available. That was really what I was hoping for. And I know I've heard that Jay Gruden doesn't want Rex Ryan or anyone like that, high-profile defense like Wade Phillips, because they could replace him. Well, if that's the case, you shouldn't be a head coach. Okay? If you're that afraid of losing your job to someone who could be better, then you shouldn't be a head coach. Sorry, you should be. You need to be back to being an offensive coordinator or whatever. Go work for your brother. Okay, he needs all the help he can get right now. But I don't want Jay Gruden fired yet because I want to give that. Maybe the defense is really just the issue. I personally think it is because even with all those turnovers, there's nothing to say they still would have got 31 points. There's nothing to say that wouldn't happen. Okay. Because if the offense turns the ball over, it doesn't result in a 40-yard touchdown pass over Josh Norman. It doesn't result in that. So there's a cause and effect. I don't think the offensive turnovers caused every one of the points that the Bears scored. It caused some of them. Don't get me wrong. Pick six is definitely a direct correlation, and you also have a fumble, and you have another fumble that resulted in some points, and so on and so forth. Those things do happen. Okay, so it is part of the game of football. Sorry, my head itched. What do I want to go over now? So that's my reaction to the game, pretty much. Jay Gruden, I think, is on the hot seat, but I want to see how the defense does with someone else calling the shots. I want to see someone else in charge. Maybe it's to the point where they're just tired of hearing his voice. It's possible that the Washington Redskins players are just tired of hearing Jay's voice. I don't think our defense is as bad as it's showing. I think we have good personnel, and we have decent personnel. We have great defensive line. We drafted someone who's good off the edge. We have Jonathan Allen. We have Payne. We have Ioannidis, who's been good for a couple of years. We still have Kerrigan, who's still a pretty decent player, so on and so forth. I just don't think we're putting guys in a way to be successful. We're not putting guys in a situation to be successful, and we're still having success. We're still getting guys. We're still getting like the third and longs and stuff. So we're doing some things right. We're just not doing things right all the time or enough of the time that it's affecting it's like affecting our ability. We're not doing it enough that where it's actually being the reason we're winning. That's the thing. We're giving up those third downs. We're giving up those things. So yeah, that's pretty much it. Dan Snyder needs to sell the team to me for $1, and I'll run the team, and I'll be the GM, and I'll make those decisions. Yeah, that's not going to happen, but I wish it did. If you have any questions, put in a video. I'm probably going to do a video of my prediction video for the Giants game this week. If there's any big news, I will comment immediately. For example, let's say by 5 o'clock today, the Redskins fire Greg Minuski. I will have a video with me popping champagne. I got some for my wedding still. I'll probably be popping champagne and drinking right on the podcast or on this and celebrating because we finally got rid of what I think is the issue. Let's see if he's either the issue or if he's like a side effect. What I mean by that is, I think what's happening with the team is a side effect of obviously Dan Snyder. So I think that's what Bruce Allen is. That's the side effect there. But you still can have a bad personnel and have better coaching what's happening. So is either the disease that's affecting the team, and he's not doing a good coordinator, or is he a side effect of Jay Gruden's not coaching well? That's what I need to find out. That's why I say if you get rid of Jay Gruden, you're not going to know either way. You're just resetting the button. You're just hitting the reset button. Okay? But if you get rid of Minuski and you bring someone else in, and the defense starts rolling, and the offense has actually been pretty decent to this point already, obviously he'd be the season. But if you bring a defensive coordinator, another one, and it's still calamity and it's still chaos, obviously we know what the disease is. Okay, is meniscus the disease or a side effect? I think he's the disease. Some people probably think he's a side effect. He's a symptom. Let me rephrase that: a symptom, not a side effect, a symptom. But we'll find out. This is JD. This is Redskins Rant. Like, share, subscribe. Please follow me on Twitter. If you have any questions, put them in the comment section down below. I'm gonna do a video where I'll answer questions later this week, and then I'll obviously do my New York Giants prediction video. That's all I have for you today. Help to the Redskins. See ya.